Well, that was easy. That's a lot of nations I just annexed. And it's still 1938. It was so simple. Hello, and welcome back to another Overpowered Nation video. This time, we're playing as Mexico. Mexico is a bit of a special case, as Mexico can not only become overpowered as the Catholics, but also as the atheists. And you can even get Trotsky for this. But there's a catch, so bear with me. I'm going to split this video in two segments. The first one will be played through as Catholic Mexico, which is simple and easy to do. And the second one will be Trotsky's Mexico, which involves RNG, and it's annoying to do. But if you get everything correct, you can get New Home of the Revolution achievement pretty easily, and other Mexican achievements as well. Anyways, let's get started. First, we'll be playing as Catholic Mexico. Once again, we begin by deleting our army, putting one division in training, and our first focus will be Plan of Aqua Prieta. For research, we are going to need better guns, and we are also going to need better industry. Because we only have 2 research slots, we need to choose our research carefully. When it comes to building, we only want to build in these states in and around Mexico City, because most of other states will be occupied later. And for production, we are going to need infantry equipment, as always. And with that, we can unpause the game. Our next focus will be Jefe Maximo, because we can get Garza later on, which gives us extra political power. With Jefe done, our journey to Catholicism begins. Whatever you do with the church, it doesn't matter, but I prefer to go for assertiveness. And now it's time to start gaining fascist support, and we're going to need a lot of it, so save your political power for later. After we finish the gold shirts, we hire syncretic revanchists for more fascist support. And as for focus, we go for controlling the army. Now we want to make our way down to Legion of Christ for even more fascist support. Now we do anti-disestablishmentarianism, and then we rewrite the Constitution of 1917. You might have noticed that I left Caudillo tensions going higher, and that's okay, because we don't mind him causing a civil war, since aligning with him would take too much time, so we're just gonna defeat him in the war. And with Legion of Christ done, we now make our way down to Hispanic Alliance. Before Caudillo rises up, we want to make a simple division without any support battalions, so I will make a duplicate of our standard division and remove the support artillery. This results in our division being trained slightly quicker. Caudillo uprising is relatively weak. They only start with 2 states with barely any manpower or factories, so we will deploy the only division that we have, and we use it to defend our major victory points in the south, while we train more divisions. Most of their divisions will attack in the north, so you just wanna pin divisions that march into Mexico City. Now that our divisions are ready, we deploy them and capitulate the fake Mexico. We don't really want to fight them, as we don't have good divisions to attack with, so we're just gonna go around them. And if they start retreating from our states, we're just gonna attack them. The AI gets pretty confused at this point, so you shouldn't have much trouble going around them. There is a small chance, however, that they keep a division in their capital, which you will have to destroy, but it's not a game breaker. It's just mildly annoying. And now that we have won the civil war, we can delete our army once again. It's also a good idea to support Spain, as we can gain lots of army experience that we can use later. Fascism on the rise. Should we have a referendum? Nah, we're all fine. With Hispanic Alliance done, we want to get war goals on all the South American nations, which means we march south. And at the same time, we should have enough fascist support, so we ban both Democratic and Communist parties. We need to have above 70% fascist support in order to trigger a civil war, which gives you this event, Fascist March on Mexico City, and we choose the fascists. But before we do that, we send all of our equipment to Spain, an old classic way to win any kind of civil war. And with that, the civil war begins. Now, we are in no hurry to defeat Mexico, as they have no equipment or factories, so they are not going to train any divisions whatsoever. They only have 1 naval dockyard, which is really not going to help them. You can see that in the states that are controlled by Mexico. They still have all of their manpower inside of them, which is a sign that no divisions are being recruited. Before we justify on anyone, we want to get all of our war goals from the focus tree, which is a very reliable way to avoid having any South American nation being guaranteed, besides Brazil. We also happen to have a very good leader. That gives us more research speed and stability. That's awesome, but the first time I did this, I had a silent workhorse. Also make sure you take your equipment back from Spain. We are also going to need more manpower. I recommend you to get Officer Corps, State Serves the Military, for cheaper mobilization. We are going to occupy all the states except these 2 cities in Chihuahua. We can also get few extra factories from Focus 3 of Mexico, which is nice. Anyways, we are only going to declare war on Guatemala, because they border El Salvador and Honduras in only 2 provinces, which is a very good position to defend. So we are going to capitulate them. And as we do that, we will keep getting more war goals. I like to build forts in these provinces, just to make sure they don't push us out. but it's not necessary. We also need more divisions to hold the ports, because we are about to be naval invaded. Italy, I love you so much when you're not losing in the Mediterranean. More war goals, please. We only need to hold ports in Yucatan and Veracruz. They usually don't invade from the south. But I still guard all the ports anyway. We can also add some artillery to our divisions, because why not? Our last focus would be liberate the Caribbean, but I was confident that none of these countries would become guaranteed by allies, and we really need more research slots. And with that, the Armageddon shall begin, which means we're declaring war on everyone. That was a lot of war goals, and even more about to come. Once again, we are going to justify our nations we don't want to invade, and then we justify against our actual foes. I think you know the drill by now. For some reason, UK was kinda AFK before they started guaranteeing. I have no idea why, but that did not stop me from declaring war on absolutely everyone in existence. By the way, for some reason, Mexico has zero recruitable manpower. What kind of mobilization is that? Anyway, back to what I was saying. I think it's about time we end this war, and for that, all we have to do is to capitulate Mexico. Well, that was easy. That's a lot of nations I just annexed, and it's still 1938. It was so simple. And this is all we have. Now we are in a great position to rearm and fight anyone we want. You can declare war on allies, Comintern, or even Japan, as we have a sizable navy. So that's it for the Catholic Mexico. Now let's go a bit more red. For atheist Mexico, the build-up is the same. Delete army, research guns, do the focus, produce guns. Next focus will be exile Calais, and then we go for the red shirts. Keep in mind that in historical, Soviet Union will try to assassinate Trotsky, and the only way to prevent this is to annex Soviet Union as quickly as possible. Or you can try to max out your counterintelligence, which will increase your chance of catching a Soviet spy, and it will also significantly increase the time requirement for their operation to be done. In matter of the church, go for atheist state, which will give you extra political power after finishing red shirts focus. The best way to increase your counterintelligence is to hire spies with master interrogator trait, and then use them to build intel network, until they get to level 2. After red shirts, we want to get Confederation of Mexican Workers to get more communist support. And at the same time, we have to deal with 2 incoming rebellions. Nice! Aside from that, make sure you keep your political power. We're going to need it soon. Now we get Agricultural Credit Bank, and now we get the Confederation. Welcome home, Trotsky. And now we have to deal with the Catholics. We once again make a division without support artillery, so we can train them quicker. The Catholics aren't much harder to defeat than Caudillo. They might have more territory now, but they don't have many divisions, so we can just march around them. We again just want to make sure they don't take our major victory points before we deploy our divisions. And once we deploy them, we will march towards our victory. And now we go for Revolutionary Class War. After snaking our way to victory, we delete our army once again. You might notice that Caudillo Uprising is coming by, but if you hover over the decision, there is no event about rebellion. That is because going through a civil war removes Caudillo Uprising national spirit, so Caudillo is not going to rise up. And now we support Republican Spain, and once we do that, we go for Bolivarian alliance. And we also take advantage of this decision, that gives us army experience in exchange for guns. Once we get Bolivarian alliance, we'll do coastal defense plan. What's funny is that because we went through civil war, we nationalized most of our oil, so now we control almost all of it. Our last focus before we go communist is march southwards, because we need more time to get communist support. As with the communist revolution, we are going to ban democratic parties, so we can get more support for the communists. And we will get communism on the rise. This will blow over. This is the RNG part of the game. Around 14 days before we finish the focus, we have to ban the fascist party, which will get the communist party over 70%. Now, in order to succeed, we need to get this event, which can take from 2 days up to 3 weeks to appear. If we don't get this event before we finish the focus, we have to do this again. But if you get it too early, you won't be able to have Trotsky right away. If you complete the focus before we have to respond to the event, then you did everything correct. For those who are confused, all events need to be answered 13 days after they appear. So you have this 12-day window to get this event to appear before you finish the focus. Now that we are communist, we begin to get war goals on all South American nations from our focus tree. Before we start the civil war, we sent all of our equipment to Spain. The only reason we do this is to keep all of our manpower. And with that, we begin the civil war. As you see, nothing happens if I choose the lower option, so we have to go for the top one. And with that, we have yet another RNG part here. Because we are both communist countries, we will get peaceful reunification. However, we both get this event at different times, so if the other Mexico clicks the decision earlier than us, then we lose the war. So we need to immediately declare war on another nation that will inherit the leadership of Bolivarian faction. I declared war on El Salvador because Guatemala had neutral foreign policy, so it would take them much longer to join the faction. From now on, we have to mobilize and get as many good divisions as we can, because we are going to have to encircle El Salvador. And this is the event. Mexican Soviet Republic reunited. You want to click this off as quickly as you can. If you keep this decision waiting for too long, you're going to be annexed by the other Mexico, as they get the same event. This will end the civil war and the faction leader will now become El Salvador. So now we are going to have to fight through Guatemala and Honduras in order to encircle Salvador. Now we just keep getting more war goals as we exercise our divisions. Level 2 divisions are good enough, and now we're going to fight Guatemala. We just need to train few more divisions to guard our southern ports. As we declare war on Guatemala, we need to lure out the Salvadorian divisions from the hills of their country, so we capitulate Guatemala, and then we weaken Salvadorian divisions so we can push them later on. And we are going to do this until we are confident enough to push through Honduras. Don't forget to get all the war goals in the meantime. After a few weeks of destroying Salvadorian manpower, we attack Honduras. The reason why we attacked El Salvador so much is because we have to push through the mountains into Honduras, which is pretty hard to do. But as I caught them off guard, I managed to push through. All we have to do now is to encircle El Salvador, and then we can finally declare war on everyone as our last focus finishes. You can capitulate Honduras to get a better defending position, but I was in a hurry as I generated too much war tension, so I had to stay like this as I couldn't push into their capital. Anyway, now we do our standard overpowered nation procedure. We begin by justifying against the United States to increase war tension, then we justify against small nations to bait British guarantees, and then we justify against our main targets. The only problem is that our justifications take 30 days to complete, unless the nation supports our enemies. Then it takes 15 days. In the meantime, we want to keep encircling any division that comes to El Salvador. If you want to fight the Soviet Union, you should justify against the Baltic states. Germany might justify on you if you annex Danzig, because they have claim on there. I was unfortunate as Brazil got guaranteed by France, so it's the only South American nation I have to leave. But aside from Brazil, I got all the nations I wanted. Well, and this is what I ended up with. A pretty sizable navy and economy stronger than US. From now on, I don't think you should have much trouble defeating any faction you choose to go to war with. Anyways, tell me in the comments what did you do after trying this out. That's it for today's video. See you next time. Goodbye.